Hi guys, it's another hot day here in Canada, even though I'm sure if you're up in the Northwest Territories it's not this hot, but you catch my drift. In Ontario, it's hot right now. And I have a review for you on a book that I'm sure many of you are interested in, and that's Insurgent by Veronica Roth. Now, I have a lot to say about this book, so much in fact that I actually made myself notes so I remember to say everything, because usually I just sort of wing it. But I had a lot to say about this, so I wrote it down, so I'm gonna just kind of go down the list and say how I felt. Overall, after finishing this book, I was definitely disappointed. I absolutely love Divergent, as many of you probably know. 5 out of 5 rave review about that book on this channel if you want to check it out. When I finished that book, I was so into the characters, so into the story, and it really sucked you in. It was a good length, there was a lot of action, but not too much action. Whereas Insurgent is kind of the opposite of that, but not really. So it still focuses on the same characters. You still have Triss as the main character, there's still Tobias, there's still pieces of Triss's family, and then there's a lot of other characters who you meet in Divergent. The first thing I want to recommend is that don't wait a long time between reading Divergent and reading Insurgent. I didn't wait that long. I read Divergent in March maybe, and then I read Insurgent in August into September. I was totally lost on some of who the characters were. Obviously, I remember the main ones, but there was other characters, friends from Dauntless, friends from Abnegation, who I was just like, what? Who are these people? And Veronica Roth doesn't give time for explanations. There's too many other things that she's got to focus on, apparently. Even though this book is gigantic, she still has a lot of other things that she'd rather focus on. This book is way too long. It's over 500 pages, and I feel like 100 of those pages could have been reworked in some way. There was a lot of pointless running around, almost to the point where you were desensitized to it. You stopped feeling like, oh gosh, this is a big part coming up, people are gonna die, because it seemed like that was happening every 5 pages. Someone was dying and someone was attacking someone else, and they were making major plans to launch some sort of other attack, and it desensitized it. You didn't feel like that was that important anymore, and you started being almost cynical about it, saying, oh, again, really? I understand that there's a war being fought here between these 5 factions, but... And also, another thing that she should have included was in the back of Divergent, she had a key to the different factions, what they stood for, that sort of thing. She should have included it on the back of here. There were certain things I was like, wait a minute, Amity? What side are they on? Like, who are they leaning towards? Are they neutral? She should have included something in the back like she did in Divergent, just to make it easier for people who, like me, had been a few months since you'd read the book. Another thing that there was way too much of was Triss Tobias moments. In Divergent, I totally loved it when they got together. I thought it was great. It was perfect. I liked the interaction between the characters. I was totally behind the relationship. Where in this book, obviously their relationship is strained because there's a war being fought and people have different feelings on certain things, but there were so many moments where so many bad things were happening, so many people were getting hurt, that it just... And they kept, being together and then breaking apart. Not to say that they broke up or anything like that, but it was just, it stopped being sweet. I stopped looking forward to their moments together. There was, a few where I was like, oh wow, I'm really glad she included that, I'm really glad she wrote it, but there was other times where I felt like it's just, no. You could have just left it out, or rewritten the scene, taken out a lot of the extra action, erased some Triss Tobias scenes, and then it would have been a much better story in general. Okay, so I think I pretty much covered all the negative things about this book, things that I did like about this book. The ending, actually. As far as I know, this is supposed to be a trilogy, so the last book should be answering a lot of questions, and the ending sort of started launching into answering those questions when there was the big showdown between the factions. They uncovered some material, they're looking for a certain file, and they find the file, and it sounds like, from what little snippet we got, we're going to find out why these factions exist. What happened in this dystopian Chicago to create these factions. It is one of the only parts in the book where I actually felt excited again, like I did when I originally read Divergent. In terms of characters who I really felt connected to, Triss is still cool, she's still butt-kicking, she still doesn't give a crap in terms of taking down people, which I definitely appreciate. She's a strong character, but once again, I felt like there was too much going on in other things that sort of ruined it for me. Too many Triss Tobias moments, too many moments. There was a lot of moments where she was having a lot of trouble just keeping herself together, and that's understandable. But once again, just make the book shorter, make it more impactful, and don't drive the reader crazy by continually mentioning something over and over again. Lots of people die, so don't get attached to too many characters because they're just people dropping left and right. You meet some new characters, you find out some new stuff about the faction list. There's some goodies in here, but still didn't live up to my expectations. Overall, I'm gonna give it a 3.5 out of 5 stars, and that's being a little generous. I really think that it should have been 3 out of 5, but the ending kind of saved it for me and left me with a better impression than what I would have said before. I am still looking forward to the final book in the installment because I have high hopes for it in the sense that it will answer a lot of questions, tie everything together, and hopefully it won't be unnecessarily long. I recommend this, of course, to anybody who has read Divergent already. Since this is part of a series, I kind of have to mention Divergent first anyway. So if you read Divergent or you're interested in reading it, obviously read Insurgent as the follow-up in hopes that the third book will really be the winner. If you guys have thoughts on Insurgent, which I'm sure many of you do because many of you have read it, feel free to put them in the comments below. It seems like people are pretty divided, so it'll be interesting to see what you think. And if you haven't already subscribed, feel free to subscribe. You can also friend us on Goodreads and follow us on Twitter. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you later.